Maybe we can get LT's take on that. See what
his favorite tire is.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a reason to tune in. LT, our football expert, picking his favorite tire.
Yeah.
So come along with us after we have some chicken and drinks.
Join us, won't you?
Steve and Kyle visit the Ceylon-covered bridge where a body fell and opened a portal to hell.
This sounds nice.
Yeah, look at this guy's hairdo. Oh, my gosh.
It's a good-looking man.
That's Steve.
It's got to be.
It's got to be, because as we...
Is the bald guy Kyle?
No offense.
Sorry about that. Seems like some kind of technical difficulties in this week's intro.
You know what? It was
long pause there. Long
busy
gap.
Saturday, Steve.
Forgot to line up the audio clips.
That thing is usually tip-top shape produced. I don't know what happened there. My God. That is unedited from 1 week ago, Steve.
That's a long... That
I was so...
Just by looking at the timeline there, that looks like about 12 seconds.
Yeah, just
maybe
from
13.
Your brutalization left me so devastated.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 13-second silence after hearing that shot.
Sorry about that.
From the school book depository.
Yeah. Well, you should appreciate the accuracy then.
Hey, you did it in one. It took him, what did he fire, 3?
I think so.
Didn't one go through the governor's shoulder?
Yeah, Governor Connolly.
One left.
Bystander.
One left the wind flap on top of Kennedy's head.
Boy, that is not something that the Kennedy family would appreciate some 50-some years later.
Are there any alive? Aren't they the most cursed family in America?
Sure seems like
the only one not cursed was Ted, who killed that girl, still served in Congress, and then, lived a long life.
Because Bobby was assassinated also, right?
Yep.
He was in the 70s, sometime in the 70s.
I believe
maybe late
it was
60s.
Even the 60s still, because he ran... I want to say he ran the cycle after JFK was murdered. Boy, this is just rife for Zach's fact check.
All right, Zach. Get to it.
But I'm not looking anything up.
Then John Kennedy Jr., John.
Yeah.
The old airplane incident where he landed it in the ocean.
Did you get the wheels up? You just missed the runway by a few miles?
Now, was that the one where the plane was just circling for a while? No, I'm thinking Payne Stewart. I'm thinking golfer Payne Stewart.
Yep. No, this was one I don't know if it was weather related or what, but yeah, I believe he crashed. Was it off Cape Cod?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So off the Cape. Yeah. JFK Jr. passed away there. You obviously have the Ted murdering that girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Maybe that is. I mean, those are the main ones, but. If you think about it, boy, that successfully ended. There's some higher power that really wanted that Kennedy line donezo.
Yeah.
And maybe that higher power, Steve, was the CIA.
You think?
No.
I wouldn't
say it out loud anyway.
Are we starting to delve into Conspiracast?
I don't know how we're going to fit this into the Lispin network because we both have jobs. But this is easily...
And our complete failure to follow through on any idea we come up with.
This is our, 10th sidecast we're going to do. I've still got 1-800-SPORTS-TATE. I've got...
Still one of my favorites.
And again, if you're not familiar, that's because we were trying to think of a phone number to call in with sports questions. And Steve wanted to use sports and then sports take... But he thought the number 8 would be good enough.
Yeah.
So therefore, call in, leave us your hot sports takes or questions at 1-800-SPORTS-TATE.
Yeah, SPORTST 8.
That's it.
Uh-huh. Yep. Then there's obviously WrestleCast. There's
the Shingles Jingle.
The Shingles Jingle.
Which I think we scrapped. We were going to take that on the road and take a bunch of big pharmaceutical money for that.
Okay.
Remember,
right.
we were going to go
right.
hit the old folks home and pitch them pills.
No, yeah, you're right.
Shots.
You're right.
But there was the real estate podcast, which went rogue on us, that we weren't even going to do.
Yeah, that's still disappointing. Although I've actually been I've been an advisor on that. I was asked to listen and critique, so I did just that. Sent some notes over. So maybe once they make the tweaks that I recommend, then we'll invite them back in.
Now, how does that go, Steve? Because we don't get questions about podcasting, which is kind of offensive. I've been doing this for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
But we do get questions all the time about, hey, what equipment do you use? What would you recommend starting with? And we've had a few people say, hey, how do you start? What do you do? How do you do this? And that's a poor question to ask us because we don't really do much planning. We rely on, knowing each other and that. But how does that go when someone asks you, a person you're familiar with, they sold your home, helped you buy a home? Granted, it wasn't the smoothest process.
Sold 2 homes. Yeah, sold my home, Annette's home, and then helped us buy this one.
How does it go? He sends you, whatever it is, a 30-minute podcast, right? And if it's a real estate podcast, maybe it's, hey, today we're going to talk about variable rate mortgages versus fixed rate mortgages.
Yeah.
You listen to that. Now, obviously, it's not meant to be a comedy show like we're trying to be.
Totally different audience, totally different topics.
You like that college professor, you bust out the red pen and just shred it? Or are you kind of using, kids' gloves?
Kids' gloves is a fair term to use because with this one, this is a couple of people who don't have any broadcast experience, which is perfectly fine. So there are a few things, like there are a couple of like golden rules. So a few times I had to say, hey, make sure that this person stays up on the microphone. Make sure you have your headphones on and you have them turned up, because what you hear in your headphones is what the listener is going to hear. Just little stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of it was just comments on, after you say this, be sure to give your credentials and be sure to talk about this, and maybe, so that way you form that trust with whoever's listening to you. But yeah, it was a weird experience doing that, like not listening necessarily for content, but for listening for like the actual mechanics of how it's happening. I felt like a teacher. I felt like a school teacher, grading papers. Because again, the kids' glove thing is obviously the correct way to do it, but that's somebody who won. This is just a hobby. Yeah.
At best, not even like a hobby. It probably, it's nice for a realtor website. Hey, listen here, if you have any questions on this, it's 10 minutes on, the subprime mortgage crisis. Yeah. I mean, sure, you could go out to Adam McKay film. That's very entertaining, or you could listen to me babble for 10 minutes. But it's nice to have.
Right.
It's just, I don't know how I'd react, right? I mean, now obviously I do this podcast with you. You've been in radio forever, and I did a little dance on your side gig, and I've been podcasting for a while.
Yeah.
How do you think that would go? Let's say, you got another friend, and instead of me, hey, we should do a podcast. You're like, yeah, that'd be great. Mm-hmm. But they're not, radio or podcast seasoned, if you will.
Yeah.
You take the kid gloves off. At what point does Jersey Steve come out?
Boy,
or do you just stop doing?
Well,
the podcast?
I mean, I think that a great example of that would be when we had Doug on at the end of the summer, and we had to tell him about a dozen times, like, "Hey, talk into that microphone, stupid."
Lovely man.
See that thing right in front of you?
Yeah,
that's what picks up your voice. So if you're sitting over here talking or facing that way.
Yeah, we went on that big coaster over there. You remember that one, Steve? No.
I had to tell him 35 times, hey, I know that you're telling this story like people know the background of it, but no one does, because only you and I were there when we were 13 years old and that thing happened.
I think that's the hardest part, because it's a balance, and even me just referencing a few minutes ago the old podcast that we were going to do and recapping the 1-800 Sports Tate.
Sports Tate.
I think that's the hardest thing to remember.
Yeah.
But we do get those questions occasionally about how to do the podcast. But that leads me into what I wanted to talk about right off the bat, Steve. We kind of mentioned this last week because we hadn't released that video yet. But now it's on the top of my mind, and I'm very excited because you and I have a little something in the pipeline. And when I say a little something, it is a little something. But we also have a little more in the pipeline that we have yet to unveil. But this one I am very excited for, and I'm very excited for it because the onus for content is now off of your and I's shoulders.
Yeah, it's not on us.
And that's a nice relief, right?
That's beautiful.
So it was last Tuesday, I believe, you released this video that you and I just shot in our own homes, and you cut something together quick on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try out a little, our very first official sidecast.
Yeah. I mean, it'll still be on this normal. Like you'll get it if you download this podcast. It'll show up. But yeah, we released a video. It's like a 35-40 second video, just saying, hey, if you have any questions you've ever wanted to ask, or just some general questions, completely random questions you want to ask us, just either tweet them at us, Facebook message, post them on Instagram.
Yeah.
What is our...
I would prefer a direct message or a message on Facebook, because what's going to happen is when we post these things, a lot of the comments are going to end up just getting lost based on, well, me not saving them or writing them down anywhere. So a direct message or a Facebook message works best. Or the avenue we posted there, which is what we added 1 week ago. You can go ahead and text us. You can call us and leave a voicemail. You don't have to worry about one of us answering and having to talk to us. It'll go right to a voicemail that is already set up. You can leave if you're more comfortable with that. And I believe the number for that is 424-30-SK-POD. If you want to call or text us any questions you may have. We've gotten a few of those, and the number is in that video that we posted on our social media. So be sure to utilize that number as well.
What was that number again?
I believe it's 424-30-SK-POD.
42430. Yeah, 42430-SK-POD or 424-307-5763.
Yep.
Which took, because that was my line in the video. And so what I did was I'm holding my phone out in front of me in selfie mode. So I stuck a Post-it note to my phone with the phone number on it. But even looking like the Post-it note was just above the camera. So the camera is on all the way, like in my case, the camera was all the way on the right-hand side of my phone. I had the Post-it 1 inch above the phone, and you could still see, I was watching the video, and you can still see my eyes wander up to it. So I was like, that is not good enough. I need to just focus and actually concentrate and memorize this phone number. So it took me about 10 tries, but I finally figured out 424-307-5763, 424-30 SK-POD.
7577.
775.
Boy, you've already got one coworker that does that.
I know.
You don't need a podcast co-host who does it worse. That's 424-307-5763. That'll start being posted as well in the episode info. Yeah. If you're driving or whatever, just click on the info link when you're stopped, and it should be posted there. Again, leave us a voicemail there or text us there. Questions.
You can call that number at any time, even if you don't have questions. And leave a message. Yeah, you got a rant. You want to drunk dial us? Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
We have the ability to have that ring to one of our phones. I don't know if we'll actually use it.
Maybe at some point. Maybe we'll
Maybe we'll do a live call-in episode.
Yes. And we'll have that dial in.
Maybe we could do that right now.
I'm always weary of doing it like this simply because I think you and I end up being the one's hurt.
Oh, because no one will call?
No one will call.
Yeah.
Because of the time we do this, right? It's, at least where we are, Steve, it's time for one thing right now where we live.
Boy. Good thing we're hiding in the basement.
It's church-going time, my friend.
Definitely church time.
And you and I are podcasting in sin right now.
That's a good... That could be our Sunday morning podcast.
Wow.
Podcasting in sin.
Boy,
where we pull up one of the 1,000 local churches live streams, and we critique it.
We Mystery Science Theater 3000 that.
Yeah, it's a nice story from your little book there. That's cute. Oh boy, tell me more about the imaginary man.
Quickly just turns into an atheist podcast.
Yeah,
isolating
that Ricky Gervais movie, The Invention of Lying. Yeah, that's exactly what it becomes.
Oh man,
so there's a man up there in the sky, and he knows everything about everything that everyone has ever done, and everyone believes this. Cool.
There was a great, and this is we digress. Obviously, there was a great bit from a stand-up comic last night that you and I witnessed. Talking about using a website like Christian Mingle, and very important to reference that he did not, he was not dogging online dating whatsoever.
No.
But he had mentioned that if you don't find love on Christian Mingle, you've now used the entirety of the internet, and even God can't find you love.
That guy was really funny.
Very funny.
It was a fun night out. Oh, by the way, it is Sunday, February 10th, 2019. The year of our Lord. It's the Steve and Kyle podcast. That might be the latest.
That might be the record.
16 and a half minutes in.
Nikki, you've only got to check 133 other ones.
Yeah.
But go ahead and check that and see if that was the latest time Steve's ever introduced the show.
Maybe. Hopefully you keep that. That's one of the columns in the spreadsheet that you're no doubt keeping with intro facts.
Well, you've got some lunatic on your side gig who kept all these. Oh, and by lunatic, I mean former intern. Who kept all the data on your trivia game?
Yeah, well, and now we've brought that in house now. That is something that we keep track of.
Oh, you hired an accountant?
Well, it's the basic stats. It's the win, loss, where the person's from.
Sure,
just the basics like that. But yeah, it's remarkable how intently people listen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that even Zach takes the time to, one, listen to this, and two, type while he does it.
Oh, I can't wait for the breakdown of the Kennedy family.
And I stand by it. Kennedy family, cursed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely had a rough go these last 5 decades or so.
But we digress. Before we move on too quickly, but again, we are going to be doing a little something different. Releases to be determined. We'll let you know when it gets closer, but it is not. I would argue it's not that far off from you seeing a little something to the daylight. We just wanted to do a little Q&A for a little project Steve and I are working on. So please leave those questions, comments, and again, they don't have to be questions about the podcast. Trevor in Nashville had a beautiful example. He texted us at 424-30-SK-POD. A laundry list of questions related to the podcast and not related to the podcast.
Yeah.
That we're going to be delving into when we start this new venture. So whatever's on your mind, whatever you think, whatever you would like an opinion on, or again, if you have a rant, for crying out loud, I have a microphone to tell you why Billy Madison's the villain. Not everybody does.
Yeah, if you ever want to reply to something, say like in that case, if you completely disagree that with Kyle's stance that Billy is the true villain in Billy Madison as opposed to Eric, the Billy's older accountant brother, or older, very successful brother, then 424-30-SK-POD, 424-307-5763. And or if you want to text it to us, that's fine. But if you leave us a message, then there's a good chance that audio will be used on a later episode. If you want to leave your review of the podcast that way, feel free to do that too.
It all works.
Good or bad, we're happy to hear it.
And again, that's the type of content you're getting here on the Steve and Kyle podcast. That's right. Hot takes on 23-year-old Adam Sandler films that nobody's thought about in 22 years.
I'll say 22 and a half.
That movie was such a buzzsaw when it came out.
Yeah.
And then nobody has thought about Adam Sandler in that regard in at least 15 years.
I don't know if you noticed when you pulled up here this morning, but my wife's car is parked in the driveway.
Oh.
Typically, it's in the house. In the house. Typically, it's in the garage.
Oh, God. I'm not going to interrupt. Okay. Yeah, Steve?
I'm just going to tell you.
I did notice it.
I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of why. Our freaking garage door is frozen shut.
Oh, no.
Won't open.
This happened recently.
Yeah, it was very cold here this week. Of course it is. It's winter But yeah, so this has happened from time to time where she goes to leave for work in the morning, hits the button, and the garage door tries to, the opener tries to pull open.
Yeah.
And it exceeds its safety limit, and then it just stops. So, yeah, the garage door has been frozen to the ground since like Thursday. So now I have to, once we're done recording here, I have to take a bucket of hot water and pour it on the base to melt the ice so that I can then open the garage door. Then I have to take, I have one of those like, we talked about it last week, the flamethrower thing that I used up on my roof at the old house to melt my ice dams.
Sure.
I think they're actually made for like burning weeds. But yeah, it's hooked up to a propane torch. I have to fire that thing up, dry the concrete, like completely dry the rubber seal that meets the ground, and then spray some like lubricant on it that I bought the other day to keep that from happening. If you live in a climate where your house freezes to the ground,
pick a different climate.
It's too cold. So that being said, I use this as my chance to announce we are moving to Mexico and never looking back on this stupid climate.
I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I thought for sure you had bought another Jeep.
No.
And you
God.
didn't have
You think
room.
that there's a chance, like, my wife, you think there's a chance that if I bought another Jeep, she would say, yeah, it's cool. Just keep it in my side of the garage.
Take my spot.
There is zero chance that would happen. No, not even a remote possibility. When I bought the current Jeep last year, it was almost exactly a year ago that I bought that.
Oh, God.
And then
your Jeep.
Yeah, mine, the one I drive. And then my buddy Bob flew out here for the weekend to help me put it back together. That was the only other time that she's parked outside, because I had a ton of parts in the garage. So I had said to her, hey, when Bob's here this weekend, is it okay if we park your car out in the driveway so we have the entire garage to work in? And she was like, yeah, no problem. And it ended up working out because it was like unseasonably warm that weekend. It was like 55 degrees or something.
Yeah,
so
you
we
had your
didn't
heater ready.
Yeah,
didn't even need it.
But yeah, so this is terrible. The fact that her door, and it only happens to hers. For some reason, mine, I don't know, it just works fine. But if anyone has any tips on why my garage door keeps freezing to the ground.
But just one side.
Yeah, well, it's two separate doors.
Right.
And yeah, so so her door it freezes to the ground.
Now, do you think that side, does your
By the
driveway...
way, no one has more garage door talk than this.
There's no
podcast.
question. This has been from you helping me fix my garage door, you installing a garage door at Annette's home, now you buying garage door openers.
Another incident that is still not...
Another garage door story that we've talked about. You've bought garage door openers on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Again,
great purchase.
Around a pool, wearing bathing suits, and the most romantic time of your life.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, you want to go back to the room?" Hold on, I'm buying Ryobi openers.
Now, anybody who knows Annette knows how silly this sounds, but she's strutting around a pool in high heels.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like a tray of drinks, like, hey fella.
Right, because she's now become the waitress.
Well, she's bringing you one. She ran from the bar while you're eyes deep in your iPhone on Amazon.
Yep.
Hey, why don't we take these back to the room?
Hold on, Toots.
Why don't you go take a quick dip? Daddy's buying some Ryobis.
And yes, they'll be there when we get home.
So, yeah, but you are right. Deadly accurate. Way too much garage door talk on this podcast. But
I wouldn't say too much. I'd say just the right amount.
Should we maybe bring this into a sidecast?
Ooh, boy. Oh, boy.
I gotta tell you, my contributions are peaked.
I know a guy, actually, for the side gig, we're getting ready to launch a new website in...
I thought you were launching a garage door.
No. Launching a new website in March. Completely different company, getting away from the company we've been working with for a decade. going with a new company, and it's this great guy.
Is it Angel Fire?
GeoCities. GeoCities, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my Zanga blog up there.
Just the hottest in technology. They're gonna have like scrolling banners.
Yeah, dancing Jesus, flying toasters.
Be able to put a video of a hamster up there in a corner.
Yeah. Ooh. But I have an in to the garage door industry because the guy that is that I'm working with our new web company, he also does. One of his biggest clients is a garage door company in like San Diego.
Oh wow!
And he said that, because I was saying to him, I was like, so this is a little bit of a shift for you guys, right? Like doing this radio show website. He's like, well, I've done some similar stuff, but yeah, typically my day is spent like uploading new pictures of the 2019 model of torsion springs or insulation panels. So I got an in if we need to branch out and we need some contacts to do GarageCast.
Well, I know how we're branching out, Steve, because what we have coming up, TBD 2020 never, is APS 4.0. Mm-hmm. So hear me out here.
All right.
We're going to Property Brothers this situation, and we're going to knock that wall out.
We're taking it out.
And we're installing a garage door.
Oh, boy, like you're at the hip bar in town?
Yes, sir.
The glass door?
Yeah, and then, I mean, just think of all the audience. We bust that door open.
Here? So they have to come to my house?
Oh, well, I mean, we're knocking that wall out. We might as well knock this one out. Maybe make it like a balcony-style seating. So they can...
Balcony-style seating in the basement.
Well, I mean, we'll use the outdoors because we're knocking that wall out.
Oh, you know what we do is we build it down like an amphitheater.
Yes. Right?
There
and
we
then
go.
We throw up a few like pieces that are supposed to help the sound quality travel,
sound
but
panel
it's
here
really
and there.
you're just like, what are those? They look like crappy art. And I realize, hey, I'm outside. It's November in Michigan. And I'm watching two idiots talk when I should be in church.
Yeah, but there will be the outdoor fire pits.
Oh, sure.
Keep them warm.
Yeah. You have to stoke them. We're busy.
Yeah. By the way, I was at the big box store the other day. I found the door that will be the door to APS 4.0.
You guys, hear us out here. This is taking longer than you think. Plans are in the work for APS 4.0. We have what Steve wants to use as the door.
Yeah. It's nice.
It's a nice door.
Good-looking door.
We've got a couple of offers. One very solid offer to build this our new studio table. Mm-hmm. And if I remember right, Nolan Ryan Young, when he was here, was offering to help build whatever else needed to be built in there.
I still think that I'm getting away from the idea of the big raised table. I don't think I want to do it.
Okay.
I think I want to do more casual.
Couple recliners?
Not recliners necessarily, but like nice comfortable chairs with a little side table. So more of like a sitting at a ski lodge type idea.
I'm kind of attached to this chair. I think we could auction these off.
Well, you do have... Oh, you mean this actual chair?
Yeah, if you don't want to use these anymore. You think we could,
Yeah, I'm sure somebody could use them.
The seat that two local podcast legends' asses sat in for 135 episodes.
Either that or these are the guest chairs.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, I don't want to have to buy all new furniture.
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, these are logical to hold on to for the one guest we've had.
And the only reason that we had that guest on is because he happened to be here that day.
Yeah, and it would have been rude to say, hang out up here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But hey, guests on the horizon. But
maybe that's the one thing that's been holding us back is that we haven't had a chair for them. Now we do. Suddenly we have a chair opening.
Plans are in motion for APS 4.0. And by plans, I mean nothing building related. But, we do have, we have ideas of what we want to do and how we want to do it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a big portion of this is going to be when we get our vinyl billboard from the fine folks in Van Wert, Ohio, and we go back down there and pick that up.
Do you think they'll FedEx it to us or something?
We can. We're going to have to cut a check.
That's fine.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, I'd rather pay $100 to have them.
Do you think they have an 11-foot tube they could roll it into?
Right. I'm going to tell them, like, just fold it in half. Just do your best.
Yeah.
Really, all I want is the faces portion of it.
Yeah. We're going to
because our faces are going to be on it in some form, whether it's our logo or a different logo or whatever. But that's really the only part I want. Although I kind of find it hard to believe that Joe, our billboard guy, is going to sit there in his office doing arts and crafts on like a 20-foot long picture, cutting out our faces and sending it to us.
Yeah.
But you never know. I guess if we have to, we'll make the drive. Although, don't we have somebody in Van Wert?
We do.
Right?
Patrick lives. Patrick Flanagan, I believe, lives and works in Van Wert.
Here's the deal, Patrick.
Oh, this is the perfect time to unleash. It was about 8 months ago, Steve. You came up with what I can only describe as the most cockamamie plan for a new shipping service known to man.
Yes, finally.
You can finally redeem 8 Steve bucks.
I think this could happen where Patrick picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
He drives that package however far he feels comfortable. Hands it off to another listener, who hands it off to another listener, who eventually gets it back to us.
Either that or we just guilt Zach into doing it.
Well, either that or everybody that's involved in the shipping chain gets a T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Driving like 50 miles for
right. Yeah.
For a T-shirt.
Yeah, we'll have to figure this out. We'll have to figure out the date it's coming down. We'll have to talk to our buddy Joe. Joe's going to be there at the Billboard unveil in Van Wert, Ohio.
I don't think that's true.
Come meet Big Man Joe. That's what he goes by in his personal life.
No, he goes by J-Bo, right? Or J.
Oh yeah, Jason.
Jason. So dumb.
That's so dumb.
It's the worst nickname ever.
Oh boy. But yeah, APS 4.0 in discussions to be built sometime.
But we digress.
I did want to get to, before we get too far removed from anything, Steve, a very, very important poll this past week that wasn't even one we mentioned on the show that was going to be put up as a poll, but I got a little antsy, decided to post one anyway. Mm-hmm. You and I got into a discussion, and to nobody's surprise, we seem to disagree on something last week.
There are very few things that we agree on.
It's kind of astonishing that we're still, well, one, doing this podcast, but even like to a smaller degree, that we're still even cordial and friends.
I know. Yeah, because I disagree with nearly everything that comes out of your mouth. I mean, boy, hard to misinterpret that one, isn't it? Let's be honest here. It's very potato. Yeah, we don't agree on much.
Yeah, but we got to talking. You had mentioned that you kind of wanted to make friends with your neighbor, not next door, but across the street. Who you've seen out? They appear to be a younger couple around your age.
I know that they're a younger couple. They had a child the beginning of last year. I think I would assume that their child is just over a year old at this point. And I've had a few interactions, but it's usually just we're both out cutting the grass at the same time, give them a wave. Same thing a week or two ago. We were both out snow blowing our driveways. Mm-hmm. Quick wave. And then I had said, because I had said to Annette a while back, I said, next time I see him out there, I'm just going to walk over. I'm going to shake his hand. I'm going to be like, hey, man, it's been too long and we've been doing this wave thing. Just wanted to come over and finally say hi. Because Annette has actually met him, talked to him briefly when she was out walking the dogs.
Nice guy?
And, very nice guy. Very nice guy. And so I want to make neighborhood friends. Now, I don't want to make neighborhood friends with everybody.
No, I get it.
But this person who I'm assuming I'm going to live across the street from for the next 20 years, I want to have a good relationship with them. It would be great to have a across the street buddy. Like, hey, come on over. We're grilling some burgers. Oh, look at that. Your kid's walking. That's great. That just, it appeals to me. I've become middle America Steve. I want to be nice to my neighbors. I'm growing up. I don't hate everybody that lives on the block. Everyone's not out to get me. I just want to be part of the neighborhood.
I can't help but think that somehow, some way, I've joked about this with your other neighbors, based on your putting up your antenna on a Sunday and your neighbor really forcing this tree removal thing down everybody's throat.
Oh, by the way, he's happy. Another branch, a massive branch fell in the ice storm last week. I was so disappointed. It missed my shed by inches.
You want that thing insurance cut a check,
I
right?
wanted that thing to be knocked over so badly. And it just wasn't. It just put a big scrape down the front of it. Very disappointed that if Mother Nature, please, just give us one more round.
Tuesday.
Crush that thing. I'll move my mower out of there so that doesn't get damaged.
That's a big update because the day a lot of people are listening to this, we are supposed to have another half-inch of ice.
Are we really?
Yes.
Oh, please.
Maybe go out there and do monkey bars on those branches.
I'll make a couple stress cuts.
But
I'll do an undercut and I'll make sure that it aims it perfectly.
Now the insurance company's going to have some questions, but I think you take easily 60 pictures of that shed right now.
Yeah, just
make sure they have the proper worth, so when they cut that check to you, maybe pole barn's not that out of reach. Huh?
And that's one of the trees that would need to be taken down for the pole barn.
Jobs getting done for you by Mother Nature and homeowners.
I don't know if that's how it works, though. If your 8 foot by 8 foot or 6 foot by 8 foot shed gets damaged, I don't think that insurance cuts you a check for a pole barn.
No, it's you just tell them you want a pole barn now.
Oh, it's standard.
That's what you pay for. I think they advertise that on the radio commercials.
Do they?
Yeah, at least with the autos, hey, you just crashed your '96 Civic, cut you a check for a 2018 Camaro.
All right.
So it's got to be the same for homeowners, right?
I might have to change my insurance company then. I don't know if mine offers the benefits like that.
Yeah, you just got to Google that one. It's a big chain. But I can't help but think, like those two neighbors that we talked about, somehow, some way, Steve, you have offended or wronged this man from across the street. I don't know how. I'm just speculating wildly here.
Look, I'm not going to say that I haven't. I think that I've... Look, I try to go through my life being a good neighbor, being a good person in general. So, but there's... Yeah, maybe the dog crapped on his lawn once, and we, didn't clean it up, which didn't happen. But who knows? Maybe. Just maybe.
Maybe one of the times you were affectionately in your own home known as the garbage neighbor when you were stacking garbage on all sides of your home. Maybe he just got fed up there. Maybe the day he saw the 1994 Cadillac DeVille roll in and load up,
good old
80
wreck.
feet of vinyl fencing.
Yeah.
In every possible gap of that car, maybe he thought, this is it. I can't stand knowing this monster.
All valid points.
But he's not going to lash out at Annette. He knows it's not her.
Yeah.
Pawning off vinyl fencing.
No, that's a man's job.
On wreck. So he's blaming you. I'm just, again, wildly speculating that may be a cause. Maybe, here's what we're going to do. You and I. Forget Annette. She's out of this scenario. She's already met him. She's already blown the chance to introduce him to you. You and I are baking some cookies.
Are we going over there?
We're going to wear our own merch.
Okay.
I'm
going to have to get the sweatpants.
Oh, yeah.
Steve and Kyle sweatpants.
And we're going to march over there, give them cookies, maybe a little business card with our website on it. Say, hey, it's been too long. We've been podcasting across the street from you for about a year.
You ever need anything podcast related, you let us know.
Spread the word, and we're on our way.
Okay.
You want to make nice, that's how we do it, right?
Absolutely.
So you've already made nice. You've got a lovely lady on the side who decides to mow the lawn at 9 p.m. in the summer. When the sun's going down, I better go mow.
Yep.
Very odd. You got some weird neighbors, man. And that brings us back to what we were talking about last week, where you wanted to make friends with them, and I made it very clear, to nobody's surprise, that I have zero interest in doing that with any of my neighbors.
All right, hypothetical. Say Annette and I decide we're moving out.
Doesn't have to be that hypothetical. You've been known to do this quite a bit.
We've moved once.
Since I've known you, this is your fourth residence here in 10 years.
Well, yeah.
You're like an army kid.
Well, I mean, we got married,
Apartment,
so at some point...
One house, second house, third house.
All right, well, I went from apartment, then I bought a house. I think that's a pretty standard,
right?
Standard upgrade. And then I met my wife, who already had a house, so we each lived in our own house.
Started leaving your belongings over there.
So at some point, we decided to cohabitate.
Weaseled your way in, some would say.
Yeah. Moved out to the burbs, got out of the inner city.
Got out of the city life, big city life, no more for Steve.
Yeah, so we moved into her house, and honestly, I could have lived there for a long time.
I mean, there were a lot of things you wanted to do and change about it.
Yeah, there would have been quite a bit of work that needed to be done, especially like for just me and her, perfectly fine. But obviously, plans are to have kids.
Yeah,
and so we kind of got out in front of that by moving to our current house because we wanted the just a nicer area and.
Sure.
Without having to put $1 billion into the old house, which, like, we would have had to put an addition on that house. It was small.
But it's almost easier to do it this way. It's absolutely correct. You you sold your own home, so that's extra cash flow into your bank account. It absolutely makes sense. I'm just saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I love looking at houses. I mean, I love...
Are you going to be an open house guy? You think you're like this summer, you got like you and Annette sitting around on a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. You just got, big boy Jeep wheels on the YouTube on your TV. She's sleeping because God knows she can't take another half hour of this mess.
Big boy the Jeep wheels on the YouTube. Hey, everyone's grandpa's here. Talking about technology.
But Annette has to take a nap because the only alternative is blowing her brains out from watching another one of these.
Yeah. It's fair.
Hey, I'm going to take a look at some houses.
I would.
With no intention to buy, but what would happen?
I definitely would.
You go around and you're the cookie eater. Yeah, you're just going in there.
Yeah, that's likely. Like, oh boy, Tony whatever has another open house around the corner. He's the good cookie realtor.
I'll put on my fourth disguise so he doesn't recognize me.
Yeah, still haven't found a house.
There's no way you'd be enticed, right?
Oh, definitely.
But to the point where you'd leave and you'd go, this seems crazy, right?
If we found, because I like our house, I like where we are, I like the neighborhood and everything. But if we were to find this house, if we found a house on a lake with a pole building and completely remodeled and 5 acres of property, and it was somehow less money than we paid for this house,
so a unicorn.
Yeah, I'm. Screw you, this house.
Right, but
I'm out of here.
It would take that miracle for you at this point or any point in the next 15 years.
Look, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff. I like looking at houses and real estate.
Yeah.
And I like looking at cars.
I think
it's like in my DNA.
I think we should hit some open houses this year.
You think?
Yeah, because we're going to have to buy some microphones for the Van Wert Roadshow. I think we just strap those things on, do some live commentary while we're walking through houses. Because I have one question for every homeowner.
Basically, we're kind of going to be a competing real estate podcast.
Ooh, well, maybe we bring him in.
No.
Act like he's our buying agent.
Oh yeah,
and he has to come with us, and then. We're just going to openly accuse every realtor hosting these open houses of covering up the murders that have taken place at that home.
So that's our new thing.
Yeah. We're going to drive that price down immediately. Yeah. We're going to destroy people's lives and bank accounts in the name of funny of our podcast, Steve.
So we'll say, say we're talking to the listing agent. We'll say, wow, they really really hid what happened here. You know, the incident.
That's exactly what I was going to call it. There's a old Home Improvement episode where they're trying to scare the kids, so they have a guy show up to the door and want to look at the basement because he hasn't been back since the incident. So we just refer to it. Everything. Yeah. This thing's been pretty good, since the incident.
So, how much paint did it take to cover up the stain from the incident?
Now, we know the adverse effects that can cause because we've both agreed, probably to varying degrees, that the description of your Jeep you're trying to sell as being involved in a triple homicide has probably adversely affected a Jeep sale.
Probably. By the way, the guy from over a week ago is still sending me messages.
Is this the one that you just got to drive to a shipping container and leave the keys in it?
Yeah.
Just do it, man.
Yeah, I'm like, look, buddy, I feel like... Because he keeps saying that he can get better deals everywhere else.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I finally, at some point last week, said to him, all right, well, go ahead, get that deal. Great job.
Yeah.
And he's still messaging me.
So I
was like, well, what about the one, what happened to the one in Florida?
Yeah.
I thought you got a great deal. And then he's like, just so you know.
So he can't get these better deals, obviously, right?
I don't know.
And at
either
this
that
point,
or he's just buying Jeeps, all willy-nilly.
Either that or he's just very bored.
Yeah. So he sent me, I got an offer because it was posted on eBay. And it's posted, X amount or best offer.
Sure.
So he sent me an offer that was the same offer from last week. I declined that. I countered with an offer $1,000 less than we have posted for. He then countered with his same first offer, and I just declined. And then I sent him a message. What happened to the one? I thought you were getting that one last week, the white one in Florida.
What a baffling way to do business. Listen, I don't envy you. We'll maybe if we have time here today, we'll get into my interactions trying to give away something for free this week. But
yeah,
we digress.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the neighbor situation, Steve. I threw up the poll this past week. Oh, boy, I definitely lost the exact wording of it as well. But something along the lines of...
Hold on, I have it. Give me 1 second. It was...
Oh, there it is. How do you treat your neighbors?
Right.
And the two options were try to be friends and avoid like the plague. I think those are those responses are right down the middle, right? Like that. There's no swaying either way. I try to keep them fair because for the most part... these go, all the time against me. Mm-hmm. Right? And
pretty much, very rarely has it gone otherwise.
But I refuse to believe it's me or believe it's the actual poll. I think it's just people lashing out, Steve. So I still assume I'm in the right on all of these, but people are lashing out.
Yeah.
And, that's just rude. So how do you treat your neighbors? Try to be friends and avoid like the plague. And as always, you can check these out at Steve and Kyle on Twitter, Facebook.com/Steve and Kyle. Those polls are posted there whenever we have one, usually every week by Tuesday evening. We encourage everybody to vote on them. So this week was that question, and I described it to you, Steve, as the nail biter of all nail biters.
Yeah, because I didn't go back and look at the results.
We're at more than 200 votes, Steve.
Between the two, all together?
Total, which is a little less than what I'd like to see, but when we don't promote them, it's just there.
But this is, these web polls prove to be the pulse of the nation.
How do you think it went? Because that's a pretty down-the-middle road. And I would argue...
say...
Whoa! Yes!
I knew something was a brewing all episode. I actually had one earlier, but it was talked over.
Oh my gosh!
That couldn't have been more clear, though.
It's like we cleared the room. You turned the heater off, so it could be as clear, and then moved your mouth away from the microphone and just held it to your throat. That was as clear as day.
Great.
I love it.
I'm going to assume that this web poll went where most people said that they want to be friends, or friendly at least.
Because I think most people will defer to the idea that, well, I'm not going to be a jerk to people. Would you rather
have, because basically this question is, would you rather have a good relationship or a bad relationship with your neighbors?
Or would you like more friends or less friends?
Yeah.
Like, to those degrees, you would assume that that's the outcome, and I would absolutely agree with you, Steve. So with 200 total votes. The hell is the matter with your body? You know what? I may have called the race too soon. I thought for
sure. I think we're going to 64.
There's no way we're getting to 64.
What are we at? Like
these
50?
will push
we're in the
us.
50s, right?
No. These only push us like 45.
I think I can do it.
There's 19 left. You have about 6 weeks to get 19. We have to average.
Well, I've done 2 in the last 1 minute. So
at this pace, we might get there. With 50.5% of the vote.
Whoa. 50.5.
101 votes compared to 99 votes.
This is incredible.
People say, regarding your neighbors, they avoid them like the plague.
Whoa. You finally won one.
I took the man down.
By the thinnest of margins, you have won one.
I have.
Now, are we doing the plus or minus 2%?
It's well within the margin of error there. Out of 101 to 99.
Wow.
So when somebody tells you your vote doesn't matter, and they're talking about elections and government,
we're talking important stuff here.
Look at this election, Steve.
Wow.
Because now it's in the Steve and Kyle Constitution that you have to avoid your neighbors like the plague.
So too bad for me. I can't go be friends with my neighbor.
You can't. You know what? You know we're bringing them a plate of cookies? Bringing them a plate of poop.
Oh. Right, of course.
Dog or otherwise, that's your own devices, Steve. Okay. That is how this entire situation will resolve itself.
And how does he wash that plate of poop down?
You're going to go and you're going to buy what do they sell them in, a 24-pack or a 12-pack of mason jars with the sealing lids.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wander down the street, maybe put a rod and reel over your shoulder so you don't look out of place.
Right, yeah, because that would make me blend in.
Maybe a fisherman's bucket cap.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And you're going to mosey on down in your waiter boots to your local watering hole. Preferably, Steve, a pond. And when you get there, out of your backpack, you're going to pull an extension net. And you're going to skim and scrape the top layer, the warmest, the frothiest, the greenest pond scum this town has to offer. And you're going to put it in those mason jars.
Yep. So I'm just doing only solids, no liquid?
Oh, definitely liquid, but I think the consistency is important to have some solids on there.
Yeah.
You don't want to dig too deep.
Right. So maybe you get like 3/4 of the jar with pond scum and then top it off with a little pond water.
Certainly. You're going to can that in those mason jars. You're going to go deliver that 12-pack of jars with a plate of feces on top of it to your new arch nemesis, your neighbor.
Okay, good. Yes.
And that's all been decided because 100 or 202 people didn't vote. So that's what you've done to Steve, poor people, for not voting in our polls. Boy. At Steve and Kyle on Twitter and Facebook.com/Steve and Kyle.
This is terrible. I was really looking forward to making friends. But
too bad. Mortal enemies. For now and all of eternity.
Yeah, that's disappointing. So you and I were both part of a group text message yesterday.
Boy, it's big.
Was it yesterday? Yesterday, the day,
2 days ago.
Day before, okay. And something developing. My oldest nephew, Daniel.
Yeah, I like Daniel. Amazing young man. Opposite of his younger brother, Joey, my arch nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
who has done nothing but brutalize me,
troll you
via video, texting, any means necessary. This kid takes it upon himself to knock me, poor Kyle, down a peg at every opportunity.
Poor Kyle.
But yeah, Daniel, son to my and your brother Mike.
Yep.
Apparently has a new hobby, Steve, and a new kinship with a team.
He's got a new affiliation. He, for reasons unknown, even though he's growing up in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
Die-hard Philadelphia Eagles fan, Phillies fan.
Yeah.
Number one thing on his Christmas list this year was Nick Foles socks.
Yeah, and it was in a very good point. Free beer. I hate calling it. Greg asked last night, like, the socks that Nick Foles wore, or socks with Nick Foles' face on them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even an ask for this expensive piece of memorabilia. It was an ask for novelty socks.
Yeah, he wanted socks with Nick Foles, which, to my brother's credit, somehow found Nick Foles socks.
Oh, he could put anything on socks.
Can you do that? Say I wanted... let's see. Like my favorite hockey player growing up was Eric Lindros. Could I get Eric Lindros socks anywhere?
Oh yeah. Do you want him pre-concussion or post-concussion?
Oh boy. Eric Lindros.
And if so, why don't we have socks?
Socks. Let's see.
Why don't we have our own socks, Steve?
Look, well, we got Philadelphia Flyers socks, Flyers High Crew ankle socks, NHL.com. But I don't know if we can do.
Oh, I'm just Googling make my own socks because I want to. Yeah, we can get our face and our logo on socks for $16.
Can we do that in the Redbubble store? Is that one of the options?
Nope.
No socks. Huh?
Very upset. So we're looking at myfacesocks.com.
Oh, good.
So I think, oh my gosh, we've got to get some socks with our own logo on it, don't we?
Absolutely.
Or just or just the isolated image of James Brown's legs.
So we got James Brown's legs socks.
Yeah, loose legs, loose feet.
Did that one come through?
No, I didn't hear anything. I may have stepped all over it too.
That was bad. Okay, so yeah, my nephew has decided that he has a new team that he wants to root for, and I guess it's good. It's not like he decided to become a Cowboys fan or anything.
Which would have made not sense because he's in Philadelphia and his dad is a massive Eagles fan. But, the Cowboys are on television a lot. Mm-hmm. So that you're like, oh, okay, he sees them the most. That makes a little sense. And I think that's maybe what happened in this regard here.
So he has somehow decided that he is a fan of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Hey.
South Bend, Indiana's own. So my brother sent a text the other day saying, hey, how far are you guys from South Bend? A couple hours away. And they're thinking of making a pilgrimage out here to... by the way, Mike, if Daniel's around, don't let him listen to this because I don't want to ruin it if it's his...
Turn this off in the car, right?
I don't want to ruin this if it's a surprise, which it probably is. So
send him a little text.
Yeah, maybe give him a heads up. But yeah, so he wants to buy him tickets. Daniel's birthday is in July, so he's going to buy him tickets. And then I think they're going to come out here in the fall to go to a Fighting Irish game. So my brother...
A football game. Go see Touchdown Jesus.
Touchdown Jesus, yeah. That would be cool. I've never been to the campus there. Now you know me, casual sports fan at best.
Yep.
But I would love to go there. That would be great. That would be very cool. So my brother, there's tentative plans for him to come out here for a game, possibly throw a podcast in there.
Hey.
We're just gonna have to see how all the different things work out, all the pieces.
Yeah.
Hopefully they all fit together. But yeah, he could be out here for a podcast first and foremost. For a football game, whatever.
Snooze.
And then it was also the idea was also concocted to possibly go to Detroit for an Eagles-Lions game.
Yes.
Because obviously Notre Dame would be playing on a Saturday. So maybe they come out Friday, we knock out a podcast. Saturday morning,
South Bend.
Drive down to South Bend.
Yeah.
And then back here after the game, and then Sunday morning, wake up, drive to Detroit, watch the game, drive back.
That's a busy weekend.
That's a real busy weekend.
But that's a fun weekend. I even say we bypass the Friday night disaster here. We go party with the Catholics down in South Bend.
Okay.
See how they do tailgating on the weekend.
So you're saying podcast
I think
next.
we podcast from a frat party in Notre Dame.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
Me, you, our brother Mike, Daniel.
Yeah.
Doing beer bongs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work out. I kind of like the Friday idea a little bit better.
It's probably more our speed. We're all, we're not young bucks anymore.
We're not spring chickens anymore.
Have to be, hey, Daniel, just calm down. It's 9.
So I think that would be a lot of fun.
Boy, it seems like a long shot to fully happen,
it
right?
Does, yeah.
Because, one, the schedule for the Eagles-Lions game would have to line up with a home game for Notre Dame.
Which, 50-50 shot.
50-50. There's bye weeks to take into account.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously road games, so who knows how this is going to fly. But, yeah, I mean, at minimum, it sounds like there's a good chance a Notre Dame football game might happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think the odds are? And I asked this, obviously understanding that my brother Mike included me on this text as well. That after he asked how far away South Bend is, he intended to take the conversation about meeting for a game to maybe a more one-on-one text with you and him and your nephew Daniel.
No, I don't think that's a possibility at all. I mean, if he's coming out here, he wants to see both of his brothers.
Do you think he dreaded the idea of going to a sporting event with a... How old is Daniel now?
Daniel will be... God,
9?
He'd be...
My nephew's 8. My oldest nephew's 8, so he'll be 9.
Yeah, I was going to say 9 or 10, but he was... I'm pretty sure he was born the year...
Before
I've been here.
oldest.
I've been here almost 10 years. And he would have been born the year after I got here.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll be 9.
And you. Do you think he dreaded that idea and him understanding at a sporting event the best sports conversation he's getting is from 9-year-old Daniel?
Yeah, that is true.
But it would also
definitely true.
But it would also give you guys plenty of time to catch up on where he works, how many kids he has.
Yeah, he's got 4 now, right?
All things you don't know.
Still feel like I'm being treated unfairly for that.
Boy, if you want to put it to the polls, the only problem is going to be we're going to have to rehash it, and I don't know if we want to rehash that entire tale right now.
No.
So the day will come where that's going to go to a poll, and boy, I think you're going to be embarrassed. Because the simple, you know what?
All I need is 50.5%.
Oh boy, the feeling of victory too. My gosh, we don't need to rehash it, Steve, because I can put it very bluntly right now, and I think you'll agree this is fair. Should Steve have known that his brother had switched jobs 3 years prior to him finding out?
And I know that this is going to sound like I'm making excuses. I know that he switched jobs at one point. I know that he. I remember when he first graduated, or when his first like big boy job. I know it was with one company. He then went to another company, and I believe that this is now the third company. I don't know. The timeline didn't seem right to me. I would have thought that it was longer ago, but it was not. I apologize. Don't want my brother to think that I am not keeping up on keeping tabs on him, knowing what he's doing, where he's working.
Sure.
So
maybe I think that's the poll. I don't think we need much more background.
I don't think we need to do this. Look, it's been hashed out numerous times.
All right, no, that's fair. I don't need to make you feel worse about this scenario than you already do.
Why would I feel bad about an honest mistake? Can't feel bad about that.
That's about 1,100 days that went by with you not knowing how many. Let's estimate.
No.
Hang on. Hey, how many conversations in a week do you, like on the phone, do you have with your brother Mike? Let's say
0.
a month. You don't
0.
call. You don't call.
No.
Monthly.
There's a lot of times me and my brother and sister text back and forth about certain things. Sometimes there's also one with me, my brother, sister, and my mom. Then random other relatives come and go on the text chain.
So let's change it to how many times do you physically see your brother Mike in a calendar year?
I would say probably two, usually 2.
So let's call it 6 times in person. You've had the opportunity to catch up, whatever you guys don't. Obviously, you said you text quite a bit.
Yeah.
6 times in person. About how many times do you think, work will...
I still feel as though I'm being treated unfairly here.
Tell me how I'm mischaracterizing this. Tell me, please.
Because I knew that for the one job that he worked, I knew that he was frequently in
New York.
Yeah. I had to go there to meet with clients, things like that.
What was that job title, Steve?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
Just trying to get all the details out there. Please continue.
Yeah. I knew that he then left that job, started a new job. But I was unaware of the fact that he still didn't make that pilgrimage into the Big Apple.
So your new claim that you were aware that he had left that job.
I told you that the first time this came up. I knew that.
Nikki, if you go back and check the tape.
Please do.
It would have been the May 16th-ish episode. That would have been the week after, because you might be right. My remembrance of this was, he has a new job? And I said, yeah, for 3 years. And you said, that's good to know.
No, I remember thinking, because I remember saying on this podcast that at one point I noticed that his Facebook job title changed. And I remember talking to him about that because he had also said that, that I remember there being a post. Somebody said, why did you leave there? And he had to play it very political because I don't know if it was like a I think that there's probably something that has to do with like a non-disclosure.
Things we'll never understand.
Sure,
right?
Exactly, because it's in the financial blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, numbers.
I just assume it's all insider trading, even though I don't really know what that term means. I don't think that has anything to do with anything.
Probably not.
But yeah.
Boy, okay, so next week I will try to have the audio from 9 to 10 months ago so we can rehash exactly the way this conversation went down, Steve.
Boy, I don't like that.
Boy, it turns out this thing gets saved and posted every single week.
Well, let me wow, it's the first time that's ever actually worked. I did the whole twiddling fingers and then backwards knuckle cracking, and it works perfectly. I've never been able to do that.
You're officially an action movie villain.
I know. Yeah, just a couple clicks of the old mouse, and that episode will be whoop.
It's too bad it's downloaded. My computer, at least.
Well,
but we digress because there's a good chance that this coming fall, Brothers Weekend 2019 comes to fruition. Now, this isn't just a regular podcast, Steve. This is the long simmering.
Oh, is it?
Bruce Chat.
Are we doing the Springsteen cast?
Yes,
now,
sir.
Have we decided how we're going to do that?
It's going to be the Steve Kyle Mike podcast Springsteen.
I might need to work on that title a little bit.
Spodcast.
Boy, that's 1-800 Sports Tate right there. Why don't you just put a random number on it?
Yeah. Well, you can use the 2 E's as 3s. I don't know.
For what reason?
Yeah, Springsteen.
Why don't we just use E's?
Yeah, you gotta use numbers to call,
So, but the issue is, because obviously we want to play our favorite songs or possibly do karaoke to them.
Which is what we'll have to do.
But yeah, they're going to have to be karaoke versions because we're not allowed to just play any music we want.
Well, maybe not. And I say that because your brother Mike ponied up, or his lovely wife ponied up quite a bit to get them both. That's why I was with them in New York to visit them. They were going to see Springsteen on Broadway, which is, if you ever looked one time for tickets, knew that it was not affordable in the slightest.
Yeah, insanely expensive.
So maybe that comes with, a direct line to the boss's hotline. Yeah, I can call, hey, boss man, mind if we play a few of your hits on this podcast?
So you think that because my brother went to his show that
there's a lot of money.
Bruce and the record label will then okay us playing his copyrighted content on our podcast?
Certainly. Yeah, certainly. I think he just reaches out. Maybe send him a tweet.
Yeah.
Hey, remember me? The May...
Row 14, Section N.
May 6, 2018. Me and my wife took the train in from Jersey. Mm-hmm. Mind if we play Glory Days and sing along on our podcast?
I got to tell you, I'm trying to get this video over onto my computer so we can play it. But last night, driving home, my wife was driving because I was not able to operate a motor vehicle legally.
Yeah, less...
Had a couple drinks.
Older Steve drinks less than younger Steve, so a few cocktails affect Steve differently than they used to, right?
Absolutely. So we're driving, listening to the radio, and a song came on, and it was the aforementioned Glory Days.
Ooh. Now, again, a good night. Me, you, your side, a lot of your side gig was there. Spouses went out for dinner and drinks before, had a fun time, great conversation, a lot of laughs.
Yeah. I'm actually going to send it to you.
Okay.
But only so it'll then pop up in my messages on my computer.
Gotcha.
I can open it.
So had a few drinks there.
Had a few drinks there.
Yep.
Had a great time.
A few drinks at the comedy show.
Yep.
Laughed and laughed and laughed. So
loved it.
You decided after a couple of talls between dinner and the comedy show, you're in no shape to drive, so you hand the keys off.
Handed the keys to Death Jeep over to my wife.
And you decide she has to drive you home. Now you've probably got the music hooked to your phone, maybe Bluetooth.
This was again, this was on the radio.
So on the radio, then unplanned. Now, as a fellow, now granted, you have a longer history and you've seen him plenty of times. I have not. That's on my bucket list to see Mr. Bruce Springsteen, the boss, live. You've seen him, but it always doesn't give you a little charge when you hear him come up on the radio, right? Yeah. Unexpectedly, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
So I hear the beginning that.
It's distinct, right?
And I just say, "Oh yes!"
You reach over with your left hand.
Yeah.
You rip the volume knob probably up to 30.
Yeah, and that says, "What's this?" And I said, "What's this? What are you crazy?"
Only the song used that should be used for every single montage, either at weddings, graduations, films, or anything else. The perfect song for that scenario is now on your radio after you've had a few cocktails.
I'm loving it. So of course I crank it up, grab the phone, hit selfie mode, and I start recording a video.
Yeah.
Because I want nothing more than my wife to sing along with me to the song of my youth.
It's a nice romantic moment, far removed from garage door opening. You're both, a few drinks in, singing a song you can both love because she knows you love it.
Yeah. She wasn't as impressed as I was.
Oh, my
We're singing Glory Days.
Come on, Annette. You're nailing it, by the way.
It's a terrible quality version. Yeah, you can't really hear it in there, but she said, please stop.
Was her head out the window? Because that's the way it appeared. That she couldn't get... I think she was probably wanted to be closer to you when you had shingles than when you were singing Glory Days on the ride home.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed.
What do you think now is she... I know Annette. Annette probably tends to be, a little on the shy side in some situations, but this is with her husband.
Bit more reserved, yeah.
Right, but it's with her husband, right. After a fun night, she had a few. You had a few.
Mm-hmm.
You think, nice moment with my wife. So what do you think it is? Is it because she doesn't know the song?
Yeah, partially. She doesn't know, probably doesn't care.
But is she a car singer normally, do you think? Or with you, like you guys have a song you both know, and maybe some Zach Brown comes on?
No, she's not a car... Well, she may be a car singer.
Privately.
But private. She's a private car singer, I'm assuming. Everybody is.
Everybody. Boy, that's the poll question.
Are you a private car singer?
Or are you a car singer with, even your significant other in the car, right? Because I bet you Annette's in the minority here.
I think so. Yeah.
Because I think, significant others or I think private would be 99-1 because everybody does, right? If you're not singing in the car by yourself, you're not enjoying life.
I'm singing in the car. I'm having conversations in the car.
Oh, certainly. Absolutely. So with your significant other in the car, are you a singer? I think is the question we'll post this week. Because I think Annette's in the minority there. Boy, we got to bust her out of that shell.
Yeah.
Because when the boss comes on organically like that...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my shirt may have been off. And it's 20 degrees.
Now, I also sent you, this is unrelated to that, but kind of an update, something we haven't done in a while. An update on OCH, Operation Cooper Hair.
Oh, boy.
What do I post this picture?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, with a disclaimer. Women and or husbands... Make sure they don't see that, you don't want your lady friends to see this picture. And women, brace yourselves physically for looking at this photograph.
This was from Friday morning. I took this picture at 4:14 a.m. on Friday. I waited a little bit longer to send it to you. I figured you'd probably be asleep at that time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Send it whenever.
Didn't want to wake you up for what could have been the least important thing ever.
Whoa. Don't downplay what we're dealing with here.
I spent Thursday night at a hotel because
Lost power?
No, we had power, but the radio station put us up in hotels downtown because the weather was supposed to be treacherous on Friday morning.
Oh, boy.
So they
nice.
So we got hotel rooms like a block from the radio station. It was great. So I woke up in an unfamiliar place, go in, take a shower, get out of the shower, and happen to catch a glimpse of something, and I thought, who let this handsome devil into my hotel room?
Whoa. Security. Room 126. There's a real a dashing fella who's invaded my confines.
Then I realized that handsome devil was me. And Operation Cooper Hair was in full effect.
Look at this. So and I told you this last night, Steve. I think we're to the point where you're going to have to start like tempering your own hair. You might outgrow Jackson, Maine.
Really?
By the time we're unveiling this publicly, officially, which is at the Billboard visit, Van Wert, Ohio, Saturday, April 6, 2019.
So we're just under 2 months away. And I'll be honest, the other day I said to Annette, I think I'm done with it. The Cooper hair. And then
just tired of
it
because it gets in the way.
Yeah.
There's the maintenance alone. You're using double the shampoo you're used to.
But then this happened, this beautiful picture on Friday morning, and I'm rejuvenated.
Now
I'm back on.
We've seen pictures from your live events at your side gig when you're traveling, Nashville, Portland, all these areas. People will sneak a picture, which, by the way, you don't have to. I think I speak for you, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. As long as it's not during a segment on the radio show, or as long as you're not head into your computer doing something for the show. go say hello, or at least yell
obviously.
Steve and Kyle and say, hey, can I grab a picture? Or you do pictures after the show.
I think what we need to start recommending is that people bring Kyle cutouts to
my
Free Beer and
goodness.
Hot Wings appearances.
Now you're speaking my language.
Even if it's just like a head on a popsicle stick.
Listen, people do it at the college game day and at all sporting events all the time.
So then say it's me and Tony are taking a picture together.
Sure.
We're standing next to each other. Somebody then holds up the Kyle head in the background. It'll look like you're there.
I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know who I have to pay off. But we need a Kyle Fathead at the next radio side gig. When is your next side gig, Steve? Because I can usually tell by the area if that's possible. And I say that because I know where we as a podcast are listened to.
This podcast has strongholds in certain areas.
And I know where we're not listened to.
Yeah.
So where is your next side gig? Now we're in the winter months. It's usually a bit slower for your travels in terms of the radio side gig and live shows on Fridays. So it might be a little bit, which is perfect because that gives us a little headway to start infiltrating the audience.
We're going to be in Decatur, Illinois coming up in March.
What is the next one,
We're going to be in another place coming up in March, which hasn't been announced on the radio yet, so I can't announce that yet.
But is it a foothold maybe?
Then it's going to be... It might be.
The unannounced one? Okay, we'll talk about it.
Then we're going to be in Albany. I think we do okay in Albany.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a foothold, but I think we have some listeners in Albany.
Flint, I'm not sure about our Flint.
We have some East Side presence. I know that. I don't know how great it is, but Zach's possible at the Flint show.
We got Kokomo, Indiana.
What's the next one after that?
Portland, Maine, back there in May.
Okay. So we have a couple of options.
Of course, we have the Grand Rapids Night Show in April.
Oh, that's a possibility too. I think we've got.
You going to be at that?
No.
Okay.
Not a chance.
I thought maybe we could finally follow through setting up the merch table.
Yeah, not a fan of the show.
Okay.
Production lacks.
Okay.
Leaves a little bit to be desired.
We got Battle Creek. We got possibly New Jersey.
A strong AM down there.
Yeah, an AM translator.
Yeah, pretty good foothold down there on 1260. The Laugh, LAF.
WLAF.
Yeah.
Okay.
The local haha. Down in Battle Creek.
I don't know why you're taking a shot at our fantastic station in Battle Creek.
I don't know. I need that on it. What is the radio station we were joking about? Is the something Nut Hut? No, it was 107.6. Somebody help us out here, please, because we need to get merchandise with our fake radio stations.
It was something in Lisa in the morning.
Yeah, somebody help us out with that because I need to pass these out to Philip because I want our fake radio stations to now have merchandise. Again, that's AM 1260 The Laugh WLAF and their slogan, the local haha. And Steve and the side gig will be doing a live show from there coming up in the next few months.
What was that? It was like Crazy Tommy and Lisa or something.
It's somewhere, and there's some photograph. I think Nikki even did a drawing of it.
Where would that be posted?
It's somewhere on Twitter. I'll have to dig through. If I have some time today, I'll dig through and find it.
Now. No,
so,
right now.
And then we're going to pawn that off on Philip, add to his laundry list of artwork he has to do for us. To get our fake radio station lineup up and running.
I need to find this immediately. There's nothing else that's important to me at this time.
But that gives us a couple of opportunities, Steve, while you look. That gives us a couple of opportunities in the coming months.
I'm just going to, as soon as I find it, I'm going to cut you off no matter what you're talking about.
That's fine. I tend to ramble. It gives us a couple
How long
opportunities.
Ago do you think that was? 2 months ago?
2 months? Yeah, 2 months.
So I'm looking at Nikki's Twitter feed right now,
and that's a guess that she drew it because Nikki is known for drawing.
No, I remember it
in her free time. Fantastic artwork. She has drawn us a shirt design, sent us shirts with a design we can't publicly unveil if Steve ever decides to run for office,
right?
Because it's offensive.
Yeah.
To the Kennedys.
Boy, weird how that comes up again.
A lot. I tell you what, if we want to do one what do you think the listenership, Steve, on a podcast that talked garage doors and the Kennedy family would get? Because that appears to be our two areas of expertise.
Yeah, no podcast is more offensive to the Kennedys
than this one. But we digress, because this leaves a couple of opportunities in coming months. I beg everybody listening, if you're going to one of Steve's side gig live shows at any of those areas he mentioned, there's Kokomo, Indiana, Albany, New York, Flint, Michigan, maybe Battle Creek, where if you heard me or if you know they're coming to your area in the coming months, I beg of you to bring either a life-size cutout of me or, as we talked about, one of those fathead versions of me where you hold it on a stick.
Yeah.
And I need photographs taken with it after the live show with Steve's side gig.
Yep.
And then my head.
All acceptable.
Please do that for me so I can now be a part of these while we discuss ideas at Steve's night show, the side gig night show here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, maybe doing a merch table or a...
so you're back in?
No, I'm out.
Okay. Boy, I'm really getting mixed signals here.
And also a gorilla cast in the side lobby. Now, there's a venue in town. See, they have the main venue, and they have a side room where they can do events.
Yep.
Do we have... Now, the venue you're doing this night show again is the DeVos Performance Hall?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do they have one of those side rooms that maybe you and I could, because you guys do an intermission that's, I'll say it, wholly unnecessary.
Don't know why that is the case. By the way, I'm
great,
back.
A break from...
I'm back to November on Nikki's...
Nothing?
No.
It may not have been her then. It may not have been her. But I know it exists, Steve.
I don't even know what I would search. I can't just search Lisa. Because...
Yeah, I don't remember the radio station.
Oh my... There it is, November 18th.
So almost 4 months ago. What was it? Now tell us the radio station, Steve. That's another part of the Steve and Kyle podcast radio lineup.
Well, I'm just going to read the whole thing. It's Johnny the Duck and Lisa, the Morning Cracker Jacks on 101.6 The Nut.
So WNUT.
Well, no. I'm sorry. See, I'm not really sure how it would be pronounced, but it's why is it not coming up? Oh, it's not transferring to... Oh, there we go. The Nut Hut. Is it WHUT?
Well, I think because obviously, you and I being the radio professionals we know what we meant when we said this. So Nikki did our interpretation of it, or what she interpreted it. So it's 101.6 The Nut Hut on 101.6 WNUT.
Right, yeah.
So add that to AM 1260.
The Laugh.
The Laugh, WLAF. Your local ha-ha.
Johnny, why was Johnny a duck again?
I don't know. I think that was, again, very off the cuff, essentially making fun of morning show and morning show structure. So Johnny the Duck, and then they obviously had to have a female counterpart.
Johnny the Duck and Lisa.
Johnny, not again! Quack, quack, Lisa! And then a song plays.
Quack, quack.
That's their sign-off every day on 101.6 The Nut Hut with Johnny the Duck and Lisa the Cracker Jacks, the Morning Cracker Jacks.
I love the picture because they're both obviously dancing. Johnny looks like he's about to stomp on his Cracker Jacks.
Also on cocaine. You can see that in the eyes.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
So we need to pawn those off on Philip as well to get some official designs that we can put on some merchandise. Yeah. AM 1260 and 101.6 The Nut Hut.
Oh, God. Absolutely love it. Well,
I don't know how we got there. I don't know where we came from or how we got there, but I'm glad we took that trip together, Steve.
Yeah. But we digress.
Fast 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please, the floor is yours.
The AAF
Oh, that's the new football league, right?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, I guess. What the heck? I mean,
well reviewed.
Is it really?
Kicked off last night.
Oh, it did.
More games today.
Really?
2 games last night, Steve.
Well reviewed.
The talent and the production. We'll talk more about it on the turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bezos in the news.
He's so. Now he did
this
that.
Is big.
He did what, like an op-ed claiming some kind of blackmail.
I love what he's doing. This is the I forget the name. We'll get him on the turnaround. But somebody else did something exactly like this. Got it. Oh, it's David Letterman. David Letterman years ago, getting ahead of possible blackmail and extortion. This has a Gawker feel to me.
Okay.
So we'll get more. We'll talk more about it on the turnaround. Right. Third, the state of Virginia.
No, let's see. It's their governor.
And?
The lieutenant governor, too, right?
And?
Oh, there's another?
I want to say it's the attorney general.
Okay. Because I know that the lieutenant governor, the governor, obviously under fire for the pictures in was it a high school or college yearbook?
Yep.
Of him in blackface.
Or the KKK outfit.
Yeah,
or with the KKK outfit.
One or the other. Could go either way. I mean...
Wow. One of those could be very positive. Yeah. One of those could be really bad.
Yeah. Then the lieutenant governor now accused of rape.
Sexual assault by 2 women. Appears some accounts being corroborated, but doesn't look good.
From about almost 20 years ago.
Yep. And now
in college at Duke. Was he at Duke?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say it's the acting attorney general now has been under fire for blackface.
Wow. I didn't. This is new. This is news to me. I didn't hear about that.
Let me. You know what? I'll find it before the turnaround, Steve. But I need to recap a funny way this was phrased about the state of Virginia.
Okay.
After that, Elizabeth Warren.
She's probably regretting claiming to be a Native American around this time, I would think.
Doesn't appear things are. I would argue her presidential campaign is probably off to the worst foot possible for her.
Didn't that kind of go away?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of came back because people don't like when you claim that you're something that you're not.
Yeah, very, not great. Not great for her. Yeah. And lastly, Steve, the Grammys. You big fan? You watching? You're not a real music nut?
No, not at all. I'm always interested in what's going on. I will be very interested to see how what I have declared the greatest album ever produced will do. That, of course, the soundtrack from the motion picture A Star Is Born. That's being hosted by Alicia Keys, right?
Yeah. Now, I would be watching more closely. There are going to be performances, as there always are. Now, the Grammys is known for their mashups, right? So they'll have Alicia Keys with whoever, a legend. Mm-hmm. Tom Petty years ago would be Alicia Keys and Tom,
Jimmy
whatever.
Page or something.
Yeah, and that's kind of their MO, and they'll do a mashup of songs for a few minutes and move on. This year, I think they're doing. Now, they were scheduled for Lady Gaga will be performing Shallow.
Yeah, with Bradley Cooper.
Not so fast,
Not
my friend.
anymore.
Bradley Cooper is going to be in the UK for the BAFTA Awards, the British Film Awards, where he is nominated for a bunch of acting and directing awards for A Star Is Born. So our only opportunity is in 2 weeks at the Oscars, Steve, where they will be performing together as all the best original song nominees are performed live. It will be performed by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Shallow will be live at the Oscars in 2 weeks.
Can you do me a favor? I'm going to send you a link to something. For some reason, my computer's not playing.
Okay.
Not willingly playing audio, but if we could
switch the plugs quick.
Yeah, switch that over. The link I just sent you. It was A Grammy Host Is Born. It's a parody of the song Shallow, sung by Alicia Keys and James Corden.
Oh, okay, so is this on James Corden's show?
I believe so. Yeah, it was from The Late Late Show with James Corden. This was earlier in the week, and I got a little chuckle out of it. And,
really?
Yeah.
Wow, so you're the one who laughed at James Corden. Sorry, a little hot there.
It's all right. Thought it was very good. Alicia Keys.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Tell me something, Keys.
All right. Off to a good start.
I hear you set to host this year's Grammy.
I hate this.
Didn't you host it twice?
Let me interrupt very quickly of this ridiculously shameless CBS self-promotion to say I hate this. Okay.
Maybe you could give me some advice.
Comfy shoes.
That's a good line.
After 4 hours, you'll find yourself drinking cheap booze.
Cheap booze. Rhymed it with shoes.
Stealing from gift bags a candle for free. Try not to be scared. Act like you've been there.
Pause it for a minute. Side note. She's playing a piano that sounds like a guitar.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't know what that is.
I thought we had reached that point that I thought I couldn't hate it more.
That's a great hit that note really well.
But they hand those things out now. Who? Because they hand them out for like spoken word, so you'll get yours like, "Hey, Rob Riggle, Grammy winner." But yeah, no, 15 grand, obviously amazing.
Can we get back?
Yeah.
The host has to be polite. Hosting the Grammys.
This is really good, isn't it?
Hosting the Grammys, it's Alicia Keys. Hosting the Grammys.
Elizabeth Warren.
What? Is that how it ended?
What's that? Yeah,
That was weird.
YouTube is just done, man. That's crazy. I mean,
Okay.
Hang on now. Like every late night show, let me skip to the end for probably some standing ovation and a crowd shot of 800 people just, doubled over in laughter. Oh, or just cut right to commercial. Apparently the audience thought it was funny as I did.
It's a great video.
Well done. I mean, in terms of lyrics and the lyrics.
I liked it. All right, so where were we at? Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren officially announced her 2020 presidential entry into the race yesterday.
That is
Saturday.
Native American Elizabeth Warren.
Sorry. Yes, Native American. A frequent target of our president now. Has been calling her Pocahontas for years. Stepped it up a notch the other day with what some people think is, insensitive and borderline racist tweet saying, "I'll see you on the campaign," and then in all capital letters, trail, referencing the Trail of Tears. Where thousands, and I don't know the numbers. I don't want to speak out of turn. Zach will correct us here, so I'll say it confidently. Thousands of Native Americans died as they were forced from their land. Seems like a joke. Time for a good joke. Yeah. So in the class of candidates, I don't know how a 70-something-year-old white woman who had a cringeworthy Instagram video where, look at this beer. This sure is tasty. I don't know how she's going to hold up against somebody like Kamala Harris, possibly Beto O'Rourke, and already announced Cory Booker, the New Jersey senator. Senator. I don't know how well she holds up against that class where it seems to be a youth movement on the Democratic side of things. So I don't know how well Elizabeth Warren. And now she's actively apologizing essentially for her use of Native American heritage, which is almost like her handing Donald Trump a win, right?
Did she ever explain why she did that? Like, what was her explanation?
No, I think, and there's a very good chance she simply thought or was told by her family that we have a strong Native American bloodline, right?
Yeah.
But then when it gets brought up and you defend it, and then the DNA test kind of shows that it's there, but it's there in the same way my African American heritage is there.
Sure. Like I'm a 0.5% Portuguese.
Yeah, maybe
something.
you don't release that info, right?
Yeah.
But needless to say, presidential race officially announced. It's already a very crowded race on the Democratic side. I don't know who, and I'm not going to pretend for one iota that I know who's going to come out of there because who saw 2016 coming? So why would I act like I have any knowledge about that at all? But yeah, she's in the race. I would argue she's in the bottom half of the Democrats. Before that, Steve, I just put the state of Virginia. Obviously rife with political scandal right now. I did find this tweet funny. I want to read it to you. So to recap, Virginia's governor admitted he wore blackface. The lieutenant governor is facing sexual assault allegation. The attorney general says he too wore blackface. The House Speaker is next in line. He has that job because an election was tied and his name was picked out of a bowl.
All right.
So if this goes the way, which I don't know how possible it is, it doesn't seem likely as all their haunches are dug in, but from those top three. But if they all three resigned, the leader of Virginia will be the person whose name was picked out of a bowl. Is this under the radar for me? Folks. Shouldn't this be a bigger thing, like that they're all not forced out?
I think everyone's so desensitized at this point.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we talked a little bit about this last week when we talked about kind of digging in people's past, and I think it's a thing with the lieutenant governor and the attorney general that now it's, well, with the attorney general admitting blackface, I believe he just came out with it, assuming that's a better option than having it found out. And obviously the allegations against the lieutenant governor, he didn't come out with those, but those have now been revealed.
Yeah. So good job, Virginia.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
Nailing it. Before that, Steve, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon and now the owner of the Washington Post, in the news this week for, well, I would argue he would say the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't have my head fully around this story, but something about somebody was going to threaten to release images that he supposedly sent somebody else.
Yeah.
So he decided to get out in front of it by saying, this person's trying to blackmail me with his op-ed in the Post.
Yeah, he claims he has written verification that the National Enquirer extorted him. I don't know I forget if it was for money. It usually is. Mm-hmm. Claiming they had lewd photographs.
Some free Prime memberships.
For the staff?
Yeah, can you grandfather us in at like the student rate? Was it $69.99? Either that or I'm releasing these pictures.
The Enquirer claiming they have lewd photographs that he had maybe sent to someone or just had on his phone or whatever. He is in the midst of a divorce of his wife of 25 years, and reports are that he has been seeing someone for a while, whether it's a mistress or since his wife and him split, whatever. I don't know the details. You know why I don't know those details, Steve? Not my business. But the National Enquirer, known for this, has stuck their nose in, and if there is written verification that they tried to extort him, this has Gawker written all over it, which released the Hulk Hogan sex tape, and it was a violation of whatever. Hulk Hogan shut down Gawker, and now we're talking about somebody with 1,000 times more power than Hulk Hogan, 1,000 times, well, 1 billion times more money than Hulk Hogan, taking on the National Enquirer.
You don't think that he could shut it down, do you?
I do.
Really?
I think the National Enquirer, if this is true, I think Bezos sinks them with a lawsuit that will be for billions of dollars that the National Enquirer won't be able to pay. And this isn't the first time they stepped in it, right? The National Enquirer is now, they were reported this past year to be buying the rights to stories of accusers of President Trump to shutter them so they don't make it into public, so then the women can't go out and claim these things, and they can just they can bury them. They're in the news for the wrong reasons, and this is a wrong reason again. I think there's a good chance Bezos sinks the National Enquirer if this claim that he has email proof is true.
That would be ridiculous.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the wealthiest men in America, if not the most, I believe, or in the world.
Yeah.
And he has the money to do it.
Not for long, though.
Right. 50% of that will be gone.
He will be, I think he drops to like the 7th.
Yeah. But he has the time, and he obviously has the money to put this through the legal system properly. He's not going to be scared off because the National Enquirer isn't worth as much as him.
That's ridiculous. It's insane.
It's a big story.
He has that much money.
Yeah. It's a big story, and I mean, I think it's safe to say it's been quite a long time coming for the National Enquirer, possibly. Gotten away with these, ludicrous stories for decades, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And lastly, the AAF, the American Alliance of Football, kicked off this weekend, Steve. 8 teams in a 10-team schedule, ranging from Birmingham, Alabama, all the way to San Diego, California, and everywhere in between, mostly southern states. Kicked off in stadiums this weekend. Television, rave reviews for the product.
Okay.
Some noticeable changes, but
I saw that there are no more kickoffs.
No kickoffs. You start at the 25. No onside kicks.
That was kind of how the XFL was, right? They had no kickoffs. Well,
they kick off after touchdowns and scores.
Really? I thought that there was... Yeah. Okay. So I also saw like no extra points.
Have to go for 2 every score.
Have to go for 2.
And no onside kicks. If you're late in the game trying to come back, no onside kicks. There's some defensive line rules to protect the quarterback, to protect the offensive line. Much more limited commercials. They wanted to cut 30 minutes off broadcast time compared to the NFL.
Wow.
And
did you watch any?
I did. I watched a little bit last night.
Good.
So it's lower tier. It's above college. These are NFL players that didn't make rosters or are trying to get back to the NFL. Some names there. They had with some quarterbacks that football fans will recognize from their college time and their time in the NFL. Yeah, I watched a little bit last night. It's competitive football. It's not bad. They have some really neat things with the television experience where you get on-field audio with the coaches and you get referee audio when he's watching a replay. And
I saw that there's something like the Sky Judge.
So
where they can turn over any egregious mistake call, no matter what. Because with the NFL, like only certain things can be overturned because of like a lot of them are judgment calls or whatever. So they can overturn anything.
Yeah,
like that play, the Saints,
the missed pass interference.
Right.
I believe they would.
That would have been able to be turned over.
I believe that would have been able to be corrected, which is the way it should be. This is being looked at as kind of a breeding ground and a testing ground for possible rule changes to the NFL.
Okay.
The NFL is a bit of a dinosaur in that regard, so they're not just going to be kickoffs are done like that, the snap of a finger. It'll never be that way.
What's the point? Why'd they get rid of kickoffs?
Safety. That's the most injury-prone play in all of this in the entirety of the sport.
You got 11 guys on one team running in the opposite direction of 11 guys on another team.
And you're giving the most ground for all of them to cover to get to full possible speed to hit the other person. So it's the most injury-prone play in sports, so they figured, let's just get rid of it.
Okay.
Some neat changes. There's probably some things
but isn't the
adjust.
XFL kind of going the opposite direction where they're like they're not even going to wear helmets anymore?
That was what they wanted to do in their first incarnation. So the XFL 2020 will have rule changes, none announced. I would argue, though, if this AAF can continue this pace and they have a TV deal with CBS, if they can continue this level of talent, which is lower tier to just shy of the NFL, with territories that desire football,
it's kind of going to be a farm system.
I think the XFL may be dead in the water.
Really? Do you think they'll ever play one game?
Yeah. Vince McMahon's too stubborn and stone. Listen, I watch wrestling. Yeah. This guy is 75, refuses to believe that anything has passed him by, even though it has. I think he's sunk enough money into the development thus far. I mean, he paid Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck's dad, $20 million to be the commissioner of a league that hasn't existed yet, that hasn't announced like team names or anything like that yet.
Yeah.
I think he did it the right way. He gave himself enough runway, right? Say, hey, we're going to do this in 2 years. He was just totally cut off at the knees by Charlie Ebersol, who said, I'm going to do it in a year.
And that's AAF.
And that's the AAF. Okay. So he just 2 times I think he's going to fail. It's just a question on what scale. Now, if Vince McMahon and the XFL come out with a TV deal with the ESPN in 6 months, it's a new ball game.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is 2 games being broadcast on CBS and CBS Sports Network. That's the worldwide leader in sports. Throwing their full backing behind it, that changes things.
So AAF just started last night.
Yes.
They play for how long?
10 weeks.
Okay. So they'll play
a 2-week playoff, I think.
So they'll be playing until April or so.
Yeah, in May, I believe, is the championship.
When is the XFL going to play?
Next spring. So
they're going to be playing...
AAF Year 2 will be kicking off around the exact same time as XFL Year 1, which will be 1 week after NFL season 2020 ends.
Jeez. There's going to be a lot of football to watch.
There's a desire for football, but now the question becomes how much desire for football and the quality of football.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make your changes worthwhile, right?
Yep.
If you're just making changes for the sake of it, nobody cares.
Is that the last one?
That was it. Way too long. Apologies.
No worries. I'm just.
Fast five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right. First, the State of the Union address.
Yeah, I saw ratings ticked up. I didn't even turn it on. It's been kind of a rallying cry for him, and I don't need any more of that.
Next, Bradley Cooper and his Oscars snub.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt on his behalf. I'm in the Sean Penn camp, who wrote an op-ed in the New York Times saying that he's not getting the respect he deserves for this. Hashtag Team Penn.
Bradley Cooper was embarrassed by Oscars Best Director snub. He said, I felt like I hadn't done my job.
Yeah, and I don't want that taken out of context either. People saying he's embarrassed, like, oh, the rich man's embarrassed. Like, no, I think the way that is intended to be taken is that he felt like he let the movie and the crew down by not being nominated.
Next, the Grammys. Don't we have a song from the Grammys that you want to play?
Nope.
By Alicia Keys, James Corden.
Who's that?
Okay. Well, seems like we're flying through this fast five.
What? Oh, this is the start. Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could give me
Oh my God, it's skipping.
the Grammys.
I'll say this again. Obviously, well done. 3 minutes is too long for a parody song.
Yeah, I think it should be 90 seconds.
90 seconds, right? Because this is what, and my main issue with it is that it's CBS self-promoting CBS and the Grammys coming.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. I didn't listen to the whole thing if there wasn't a lyric in there. Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Because that's, it's a self-promotion. It's this host of the Grammys on CBS with CBS's Late Show with James Corden. Ugh, get it out of me.
Number 4, Liam Neeson.
Going well. Do you think this derails his career?
I don't know. It's
hard to tell.
It's weird. The whole people demanding him to apologize. He kind of did. It like in the initial statement, he ended it by saying how
dumb it was.
After like a week or so, he realized how ridiculous that way of thinking was.
Doesn't matter. It's
you can't demand somebody to apologize for something that they thought when they were younger and have since changed their opinion on because it was so bad.
But you can, because look at what the internet and the world's doing did to Kevin Hart. Which again, no situation is the same, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Kevin Hart, he didn't just think it. He
just had jokes about it and said it out loud,
and it was out there.
And his first apology left, a lot of people said a lot to be desired.
But yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson. We'll talk about more on that. Turnaround. Fifth, Jeff Bezos. Bezos. I never know how to say his name.
Yeah, a bit of a tumultuous time for a guy that you didn't even know his name 3 years ago.
I know,
right? Tumultuous time. I don't know if I'm pulling for him. I mean, if he had an affair, it doesn't seem like he's a great guy. But it's never fair to be extorted in any regard.
I mean, then again, that's also, look, I mean, if that's how you want your relationship to go, who am I to tell you?
Yeah, it's your personal life.
Don't do that.
Yep.
Does it have any effect on anything Amazon related? No, it shouldn't.
Nope. Still making 9 figures.
Yeah, and if that's how him and his wife want to live their lives, go for it.
How mad can she be? I mean, sure, obviously the dissolution of her marriage is probably doesn't feel good, but knowing that there's a $50 billion check coming,
I know
that soothes the pain a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a weird. I thought it was like 70-some million, wasn't it? Or 70-some billion.
Oh, that she might get.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because it's basically because they had no prenup. And
she can just get,
I guess, the state of Washington or whatever. It's basically just like half.
Even if she takes, hey, let's just get this over with without going through the proceedings. Give me 50. Mm-hmm. That's $50 billion.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, hard to feel bad for the guy going through this, but I feel bad for the extortion part of it because that's ludicrous and shouldn't. It's never okay for anybody.
Back to Liam Neeson. This is. First of all, if you're Liam Neeson, why'd you bring that up in an interview? That was. I mean, I respect the guy for being able to say, hey, this is this is how I used to think.
Yeah.
Or even because I don't even think that that's how he used to think. I think in this situation, he was it was obviously a traumatic thing that somebody he knows went through, and he just wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking right for a period of a couple of weeks, and then he finally realized, like, no, what am I doing? What? No, I can't think like that. That's silly. That's not how this works.
Right.
So for him to be able to admit that, I think is very honorable. But then again, if that's me and I had gone through something like that, I'm not going to tell it in an interview while I'm like promoting my next movie. It seemed weird how it all came up. I wonder if
I'm guessing it was because the movie's about a snowplow driver. A dad is out for revenge. So I'm assuming somebody from the press would ask, like, oh, do you ever, what's your tale? Do you have a tale of revenge when you just had it out for someone? And he just decided to be open. Well, it didn't come off well, and it wasn't well regarded. And I don't know.
I think it did come off. Like when I listened to it, when I heard the audio from it, I'm like, man, that's a powerful story.
Yeah,
and that's a guy who, good for him. He realized that he wasn't thinking right, and this was unfair for him to be thinking like that.
Yeah,
and he made it right. But of course, that's not easy in this day and age. Pitchforks, apologies.
Yeah.
Career ruined.
I think I'll be curious to see what it does to his career. This movie made $10.8 million this weekend. I don't know if that's great or bad comparatively. But Liam Neeson had kind of become the guy who'd do 3-4 action movies like this in a year anyway, so maybe the world's kind of getting tired out of those anyway. Well reviewed by critics, though, so we'll see. But I'd be curious to see the impact on Liam Neeson's career going forward.
Before that, the Grammys. Are you watching them?
Nope. Don't care.
All right. So, but you'll be happy if our girl
Absolutely.
Gaga.
Yeah. I don't know what category she's nominated or what that song's nominated for, that album at all.
It's right here. Nominated for Best Song Ever in the World.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have time today, but we need to get into it. I saw a tweet come across my personal Twitter timeline today of one of our favorite listeners, Steve, who has a contrarian take that makes me want to never mention her name again.
Yeah, I did see that too.
So, Nikki, you are on notice. And if we have time next week, this gives you about 1 week to fully change your tune and become a good person again. You know what you've done.
Nikki, buy the album. Just do it.
You know what you've done.
Before that, Bradley Cooper and his Oscar snub. He was snubbed for Best Director.
Sad.
Very sad.
Guys on top of the world, though.
Don't you feel like if the movie's up for, I'm assuming it's just Best Motion Picture.
Yeah.
Shouldn't, like, by default, shouldn't it be up for every other?
It's weird, right?
Yeah, like at least director.
Yeah, they've changed the rules now to where Best Picture can be up to 10 films nominated, but Best Director is only top 5. So a lot of people have taken that over the last few years as the idea that the top 5 directors are going to be associated with 5 of those films, and those are really the top 5 candidates. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's true this year because I think A Star is Born, it's the most wide-open Oscar field in terms of movie I've ever seen, and we'll get, hopefully next week, we can get Stan the Movie Man on to get his thoughts more next week about that, because this is an open field, and I don't know if that holds true this year in regards to the top 5 films in the race.
Finally, the State of the Union.
Yeah, I didn't watch.
How about that? How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, we're up against it.
Man, you
hard
can't
out.
Control the iPad.
Look, everyone knows we got a hard out at 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 40 seconds.
It's the way it's been since episode 1.
Day 1.
130 some into this thing, so we can't change course now.
Boy, there's a lot going on. You can download, subscribe, and review the show on iTunes, the Apple Podcast app, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Libsyn, Spotify, coming soon to iHeartRadio. You can also call and text us, 424-307-5763. That's 424-30-SK-POD. If you want to answer or ask us a question or something that we're going to reply to on an upcoming episode, feel free to do that. Or if you just want to leave your hot take or take.
Whatever your heart desires, that's the phone number to utilize. That preferably there so we can have them all in one place.
424-30-SK-POD. Twitter at Stephen Kyle. Instagram at Stephen Kyle. Facebook.com/Stephen Kyle. That's about it, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like we said, stay tuned. Trying to do some new things here. Coming TBD, hopefully soon.
All right. Talk to you next week.